And travelers, listen up. This is going to be a day that demands all of our patience, right, G?
Oh, isn't that the truth today, especially on a day like today?
Our team is working through the night, and that includes people at the airports.
Yeah, Veronica Macias up early and out live from SFO this morning. Veronica, I guess some good news happening. We understand some flights are now taking off again.
Gianna Reed, good morning. Yes, good news, but also some bad news, because as the morning has gone on, I keep meeting more people who have actually been stuck at the airport here overnight. But like you said, things now operating smoothly here this morning at SFO. Flights have resumed because there was a reboot in the system. However, like I said, the travel nightmare not over for some passengers who slept at the airport, passengers like Juan Acevedo. Juan, you were telling me what a night. You had to actually deboard a plane last night when all of this was going on. Tell me about that experience. What happened?
Yeah, so we got on the plane around 10:30 last night, and it was at gate B24. Once we all got on the plane and got all comfortable, then we were told that we had technical difficulties and we were going to be postponed. And a little bit later, we were taxiing off, and then we stopped, and the next thing we knew, we were getting taxied back. We got into gate B2, and then they deplaned us, and they said some of us can stay on the plane, some of us can get off. So I decided to stay on, and then within a few minutes, they told us we all had to deplane, and around 1:30, 2 o'clock is when they finally canceled the flight on us. And they kind of just left us to fend for ourselves. So a lot of us.
Here you've been, just when you were getting your hopes up, right?
That's right, that's right.
But so far you are like one of 72 passengers here at SFO whose flights have been canceled. There are waivers. American Airlines hasn't really kept you updated as far as what's next for you?
No, we have the app, we have the email. They gave us their phone number, and they haven't gotten anything back to us. And on top of that, the only thing we could do is essentially check on the app over and over and over again until we see something that's available for us.
Definitely having some patience this morning, Juan.
Yes,
Thank you for talking to us.
That's no problem.
So like Juan earlier, we also talked to a gentleman who was going across country, had to sleep at the airport, had been here in California for 5 days. He was in great spirits despite everything that he had to endure throughout the night. But I have met families who unfortunately were on their way to quinceañeras in Texas. Unfortunately, we're told this morning that their flights had also been canceled. But when that reboot came at about 5 o'clock in the morning, it seems like passengers who had flights scheduled for this morning received the good news that they were able to go on, get on those flights. But people who had those flights last night, it seems like they're still in a little bit of limbo. The airlines, Delta and also United, have posted waivers for people to get to. Gianna.
I also love, and I'm tracking this, the last 2 days during your live shots, you've had a wardrobe change 2 days running. That shows versatility.
I get warm, I get cold, and I don't have as much baggage as some of these passengers here at the airport, but always manage to carry something with me.
I think you're picking through luggage.
Oh, no, she's not, Reed.
Don't tell anyone.
I like the red. I like the red jacket. It's bright and happy.
Thank you, Veronica.
Just like you,
Gotta
Veronica.
smile
Thank
on
you.
a day
I
like
know.
this, right?
I know. The outer Richmond neighborhood, chatting with people, just getting ready to get out. And I'm sure that's the big topic of conversation, Veronica.
It is the topic of conversation here, Gianna, at Simple Pleasures Cafe. People say that normally they don't want to talk politics this early in the morning over their coffee, but today that's a different story. They are talking politics. And I do have to say, I want to start off by saying that I found someone who supports former President Donald Trump, a Latino, and he tells me he did not want to go on camera openly saying that because they feel that people these days can't talk politics. They can't be genuine and have an open conversation. They feel like they're going to be ostracized. Other people don't have that sentiment. People here like Anna, who I've been talking to this morning. Anna works here at the cafe. We've been talking about the announcement from yesterday. Anna, you were telling me also not surprised. And what would you like to see next? Are you supporting Vice President Kamala Harris?
I mean, I'd be more inclined to vote for her than for Biden. So, yeah, I think, you know, you got to do what you got to do.
Do you, as a Democrat, correct?
Yes.
What do you think needs to happen now for there to be some energy? We were talking about energy this morning.
What do I think needs to happen?
Or the issues you were talking about that are important to you?
I mean, we'll just see how it goes, you know. We'll see when they make their announcement who the candidate will actually be, and, you know, we'll just kind of go from there.
Yeah, taking it things from here, moving definitely a different picture here this morning. Thank you, Anna. We'll send it back to you guys in studio.
From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Afternoon Edition.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Veronica Macias. We begin with breaking news, a celebratory moment today for Vice President Kamala Harris, the chair of the Democratic National Committee, now announcing that she has now secured enough delegates to become the party's nominee for president. It happened in the just couple of hours here during the virtual roll call that took place. Harris joining by phone when she crossed that threshold.
I am honored to be the presumptive Democratic nominee for President of the United States, and I will tell you the tireless work of our delegates, our state leaders, and staff has been pivotal in making this moment possible.
It's important to note that the online voting process doesn't end until Monday. Harris will formally accept the presidential nomination next week. Meanwhile, Harris's hometown of Oakland also celebrating this historic milestone for her, for the first woman of color at the top of a major party ticket. Supporters gathering at Preservation Park this morning, including former co-workers of Harris's when she served as district attorney in San Francisco.
I think it's amazing to be able to see someone who you've known personally on the path to the White House. There's really no way to capture the feeling. It does speak to who we are as America, right? That people you work alongside can ultimately, and work for, can ultimately ascend to such a position of power and responsibility for all of us.
Meanwhile, Harris is expected to choose a running mate by Monday. Also breaking right now at noon, a small plane has crashed in a remote area southeast of Livermore. This is aerial footage from a short time ago, and you could see that plane upside down, but mostly intact here. Alameda County fire officials say that the plane crash was reported at about 9:20 this morning near Miles Road and Terraville Creek Road. There are also possibly 2 to 4 people on board that plane. So far, though, no word on anyone's condition. Another big story we're following, a major sell-off on Wall Street this morning. Stocks heading for the worst session in nearly 2 years. Earlier, the Dow, it dropped more than 900 points. And right now it looks that was just above 700. And this comes after a red-hot job market slowed dramatically in the month of July. Bradley Blackburn breaks down the latest jobs report for us.
The healthcare industry brought on 55,000 workers last month, and construction sites continue to see more jobs. But many other industries, including tech, are seeing a hiring slowdown. The Labor Department says the economy added 114,000 jobs in July, a slowdown from the previous 2 months. The unemployment rate jumped from 4.1 to 4.3%.
This is a significant slowdown from what we thought was going to happen.
CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says many Fed watchers are now questioning the central bank's decision Wednesday not to cut interest rates, which could give the economy a boost.
I think that the Federal Reserve and economists are now starting to worry that this soft landing that they were trying to engineer may not occur. It could be a lot bumpier than they expected.
Even though it may be harder to get a job in certain industries, there is one sector on a hiring spree.
Schools nationwide are trying to hire more teachers with the new academic year quickly approaching. The jobs fair in Lake County, Florida, near Orlando, looked to fill more than 100 positions. Ryan Myers was one of the many applicants.
I've been substitute teaching for the last 5 or 6 years.
Bus drivers are also in high demand. The school district in Upper Darby, Pennsylvania, outside Philadelphia, is one place that needs them.
As some people know, there is a nationwide shortage. We here at Upper Darby are not exempt from that, unfortunately.
The district is offering incentives, including free training for a commercial driver's license.
We do all of our training in-house here, so we really try to make it kind of a one-stop shop for bus drivers to make it as appealing as possible.
They hope it's appealing enough to get more drivers behind the wheel.
And there was also word today that a Bay Area company that's called California home for more than a century is now moving their headquarters out of state. Chevron plans to relocate its corporate headquarters from San Ramon to Houston. Chevron leaders have warned that California's regulations make it hard to do business in the Golden State. Chevron currently has about 2,000 workers in San Ramon, and the company says its corporate functions will move to Houston over the next 5 years. And San Ramon employees supporting California operations, they'll stay put. Chevron has been in the Bay Area for 145 years and recently sold its San Ramon headquarters to lease space nearby. Now to First Alert weather. There's a concern of dry thunderstorms now rising the fire threat in the Sierra. But in the Bay Area, we're in our typical pattern of morning fog, as we saw, giving way to some sunshine, though. We're going to check in with meteorologist Jessica Birch.
Over in San Francisco, we have the marathon happening on Sunday, and we have beautiful and cool weather matched up with it. We have cloudy skies all throughout Sunday morning, so keep that in mind for any of those iconic photos of the Golden Gate Bridge. But here's what we're looking at all the way up into Sonoma. We have 70s in the forecast both Saturday and Sunday. We'll continue to see beautiful weather for the NHRA Sonoma Nationals, and we're also seeing beautiful weather into Sunday's forecast just in time for Stern Grove if you want to head over to San Francisco. But I'm getting a little too ahead of myself. I want to show you what's happening for us today all throughout the Bay Area. Let's head to our virtual reality map and get a good look at our forecast for today. Before we head into this weekend, we have 60s in the forecast anywhere from San Francisco over into Daly City. 70s off into the East Bay, matched with some 80s too, and we continue to see a similar trend down into the Santa Clara Valley. Keep in mind, it was only just a few days ago we were talking about triple-digit weather off into the East Bay, so seeing 80s in the forecast anywhere from San Jose all the way up into Livermore, this is a treat as we head into the weekend.
San Francisco also wrapping up a week of ramped up enforcement on homeless encampments. It comes in the wake of a Supreme Court ruling allowing cities more power to regulate camps on sidewalks. One community of RVs near Lake Merced was already on notice to clear out and make way for a road improvement project over on Winston Drive. And at one point, there were about 100 RVs ahead of yesterday's deadline to move out. When we went out there to check over on Winston Drive yesterday, though, most of those RVs, they were gone. So where did everybody go? We found out about 24 parked over on Zoo Road, and Supervisor Myrna Melgar says to avoid moving people from one street over to the next, she's going to soon introduce a measure to create a designated safe parking site for people. In the meantime, though, Mayor London Breed ordered city workers to start offering the homeless a way out of town before offering up shelters to them. The mayor's office says that's according to the latest homeless count, that 40% of the city's homeless, they're actually from another California county or completely from out of state. Now, the mayor wants those people to be connected first to the city's relocation services, which will then offer bus tickets out of town. Still ahead here at noon and streaming on CBS News Bay Area, the Bay Area's most well-known for oyster farms and Welcome back. And Project Earth Hog Island is known for its oysters, but the North Bay farm is now focusing on harvesting something else, seaweed. Max Darrow shows us the benefits of these underwater plants and their potential to help fight climate change.
So right now we're out on the Tamales Bay and we are headed to one of the Hog Island oyster farms.
On a picturesque summer day in Northern California, Max Rintoul, Lauren Kino, and Gary Fleener, all with Hog Island Oyster Company, head out for an exploratory harvest. But today, Fleener, the science and research director, says it's not the oysters they're interested in.
In addition to oysters, this area is an incredibly productive habitat for seaweeds as well. You know, we're growing oysters, but what you see is all this green stuff, right? Which is seaweed.
But until recently, the team couldn't legally harvest it.
And we worked with the state to amend our permits.
They primarily harvest the seaweed for use in Hog Island's restaurants.
Nice, fluffy.
Which is why Kino, the culinary director, is a part of this expedition.
We'd make a salsa verde with sea lettuce. We can also dehydrate it and make it into like dried parsley flakes and crust a fish with it.
But Fleener is eager to get his hands wet for the sake of science and environmental sustainability.
Some of this is great as food, but can we take some of this extensive biomass and utilize it up at our ranch, for example, to create perhaps a high-value soil amendment, some kind of a biostimulant.
Something to enrich the soil. According to Fleener, they're working with a team of researchers from California universities just awarded a California Sea grant to study the macroalgae that recruits to shellfish gear and what can come from it. Zooming out from Fleener's focus, there is a lot of momentum right now for research about harvesting seaweed, its use, and the impacts it can have on climate change.
You can see here bull kelp starting to grow on that line.
Luke Gardner is a research faculty member at San Jose State University's Moss Landing Marine Laboratories.
We're just starting to discover seaweed aquaculture in the US and in California, and it can be a very low impact way of producing resources that we need, whether it be food or things like biomaterials.
But he says there is a ton to learn and little data out there at this point.
I definitely think one of the exciting things about seaweed is all that stuff we don't know about.
However, he says early research shows harvesting and using seaweed can have various climate-related benefits.
This one's my favorite.
For example,
so this is Ogo. It has some potential to reduce the methane emissions from cattle. Methane is a climate pollutant. It doesn't last as long as CO2, but it's about 25 times more potent.
Gardner says figuring out more ways to use seaweed will give people an economic reason to grow it. But he says one of the best things we can do to learn more about seaweed is to eat more of it.
I think that would go a long way to producing more seaweed, which likely has a bunch of climate benefits and ecosystem services.
Back on the Tamales Bay, with the exploratory harvest complete, Kino comes back to land with a crate full of seaweed that will head to the kitchen.
And we'll either dehydrate it, or if people want to use it fresh, it'll be good for the next couple days.
As she gives it a quick field wash, Fleener finds beauty in exploring what may be part of a sustainable and nutritious future.
At Hog Island, we believe that the foods we're producing provide a great way to have what we eat be a positive force for good in terms of climate change.
There is a lot to learn here on the oyster farm, and Fleener is glad to be on the expedition.
Partnering with our research associates really is a way that we can bring a broader set of eyes and experiences to solving some of the problems and questions we have about what happens on our farms.
And the impact they can have on the planet.
We'll start snacking on it more. Right now, back to our first alert weather. We're going to take a live look outside on this Friday evening. Things looking pretty out there. We're going to check back in with our meteorologist, Jessica Birch.
It's been a cool and cloudy week for us, for our friends along our coastline. We still have that marine layer kind of floating along our shoreline heading into the afternoon hours today. However, plenty of sunshine is expected for our inland areas today. So as we take a look at our daytime highs, with that marine layer and with a little bit of winds moving in from offshore, we notice such a difference. 60s along the coast today, matched up with some 90s off into the East Bay, anywhere from Fairfield down into Antioch. For our Friday forecast, as we dive into the weekend, yeah, it's going to be a hot one for us. Down into the Santa Clara Valley, we're holding on tight to 80s today near San Jose and Los Gatos, and that looks very similar for our friends all the way up into the North Bay too. Let's head all the way up to wine country real fast. Areas like Petaluma stretching over into Sonoma and Napa. We have 80s in the forecast this afternoon with low 90s just near Santa Rosa as well as Healdsburg. Now, as we head all the way over into the next couple days, we have some changes in the forecast, and that has to do with high pressure. As that moves its way in, it's going to warm us up and dry us up a little bit as we head into early next week. To add to that, we've been dealing with these cloudy skies because there's monsoonal moisture sweeping in from the south, and that exact same setup is impacting our friends up in the higher elevations close to the Sierra, with dry lightning possible in the forecast heading into this afternoon. So keep that in mind if you are thinking of traveling into that area this weekend. However, I want to show you what's happening for us throughout the next 7 days back here in the Bay. 90s in the forecast now, low 90s by Sunday and Monday. But then we gear up for that high pressure system I just showed you, and that's what's going to jump us right back up into upper 90s, even triple digits into communities like Antioch, Fairfield, and all the way down into Livermore too. We'll start to average out as we head into late next week, but let's take a look at the Bay too, because those are hot temperatures and not all of us are going to be experiencing it. As we head over into the Bay, we also see that little bit of a cool down as we head into this early next week forecast. But by Tuesday, we start to warm up into upper 70s with those partly cloudy skies still holding on tight to the Bay.
So what do we think? Do we like them? Prepare for Art Puck performance of the Bay Area. We can be proud of them. Perhaps we can catch up with Fake Fruit before they hit the Stern Grove stage. Okay, we're liking the tunes today. You're listening to singer-songwriter Alex G, and he's going to be headlining the Stern Grove Festival happening on Sunday. The opening act, meanwhile, that will be indie rock band Fake Fruit, and Lorene Ayub spoke with the leader of the band to learn more about the inspiration behind her melodies.
Reflecting new faces in different genres. Hannah Diamato, the lead singer with indie rock group Fake Fruit, says she's excited to perform at Stern Grove with her bandmates this weekend.
I'm so excited. It's actually going to be my first time going. I have a bunch of friends and family who've been to shows before and have always raved about it.
And for Hannah, the raving began years ago when she decided to follow her instinct and release her own music. She said she didn't see many people of her background in the genre.
Being a Latina fronting a band in this genre, it's I'm a very, very rare species. So it's cool to represent that.
Hannah says she looked up to artists like Selena, who navigated different musical worlds seamlessly.
I kind of gravitated toward a certain type of music, but I wasn't seeing a lot of representation. And now that I'm kind of holding that space, it's important to me that, I'm singing some of the songs in Spanish and translating stuff and making sure that it, remains accessible.
She says the best part of touring is finding new ways to connect with her team.
The way that we've all grown together and the experiences we've already been so lucky to have that really feel like you could only do them if you're a touring musician. It's been a really big gift.
The kind of gift they intend to continue to share with their supporters.
So if you can't make it out, you can catch all of the festivities over on our sister station, Pix Plus, as well as the rest of those concerts throughout the month. Big sizes here for a big weekend ahead of us. The big trucks and the big stunts. That can only mean one thing, of course, Monster Jam. It's back in the Bay. Welcome back. Right now, a live look at Oakland for you, where some giant trucks, they're revving up the fun with Monster Jam in the East Bay. It's all happening at the Oakland Arena, including various stunts and those head-to-head battles. Earlier, I had a chance to talk to driver Armando Castro about what he hopes to bring to this Monster weekend.
Me being a Latino, es un honor estar aquí, representando mi cultura, no? It's just an honor to be here, man, to represent the culture and bring more diversity to the sport. It's just not an American sport, We try to bring a different side of cultures to the industry, and I like to say the Monster Jam trucks are an international sound, so a lot of fun for everybody.
He's going to be driving El Toro Loco, crazy truck out there. And for those who want to get their hands dirty, remember that there's a pit party that's scheduled for Saturday and Sunday. That's at 10 to noon, and you get to walk the track and also meet those drivers out there. Well, there are 3 times to choose from if you decide to go this weekend: Saturday at 1 and 7 p.m. Then again, Sunday at 1 o'clock. For tickets, though, you can head over to monsterjam.com. That's all the time we have today for the afternoon edition. Remember that we're streaming 24/7 on the free CBS News app. Our newscast next is at 3 o'clock. Have a great afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us.
From CBS News Bay Area, this is the afternoon edition.
I held out hope, hoping that something would be still here.
Right now on the afternoon edition, the devastation of the Park Fire. Evacuees in Northern California are returning home to find nothing is left for them. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Veronica Macias. Thank you for joining us. Firefighters say calmer winds allowed minor progress overnight in gaining control of the Park Fire near Chico, but they're nowhere near out of the woods just yet. Containment has gone up to 18%, and warmer and drier weather is expected in the next coming days. The fire has burned more than 600 square miles, more than 3 times the surface area of Lake Tahoe. It's destroyed now nearly 300 buildings. The fire is burning across counties, but most of the destruction is in Butte County, and homeowners near Chico, they're returning to the devastation today. And our Kevin Coe got an up-close look at what families are coming home to.
We are right by Highway 32 in Forest Ranch. That's a neighborhood where an evacuation order was in place. But as the Park Fire moves away from this area, that means these orders are being lifted. Families have their first chance to see their homes for the first time since they evacuated, or whatever is left of their homes.
If I'm being honest, I'm pretty destroyed right now. Yeah, pretty destroyed. I held out hope, hoping that something would be still here.
This is Mike Wittenberg's first time seeing his home. Mike is kneeling in what's left of his 4-year-old daughter's room, looking for anything he can salvage for her.
This wrecked me even more. Because we found something, there's nothing left of it.
Everything is gone or burnt beyond recognition. Mike and his family of 5 live in Forest Ranch, where an evacuation order was in place due to the Park Fire.
We knew the fire was coming. I didn't think it was actually going to take our house. The fiance's grabbing pictures off the walls and keepsakes. And at first, I didn't understand why. You know, I just wanted her to get the family out. And now I get it, now that it's all gone.
Mike is thankful everyone in his family made it out safely, including his fiancée, who saw their home for the first time since evacuating.
Andrea. It's my fiancée. It's her first time seeing it. Come here. Be careful. There's
Yeah,
I know. I know. Come here. Come here.
So far, the Park Fire has destroyed about 200 buildings, including homes. Tens of others have been damaged as well. 42-year-old Ronnie Dean Stout is accused of starting the wildfire.
You want him to see what he did. I want him to see the lives that he destroyed. He destroyed my family's life. I hope he lives forever. I hope they put that guy away for a very long time.
Through all of his frustration and heartbreak, Mike was also extremely grateful. Grateful for the first responders, the firefighters, church members, and neighbors who have all helped him and his family get through however they can. Mike and his family aren't sure what they're going to do next, but they and other families are going to need all the help they can get to pick up whatever pieces they can.
And that Chico man is being charged with starting the fire. Authorities say that he was seen pushing a burning car down that gully. He's expected back in court tomorrow. San Francisco, they're ramping up their sweep of homeless encampments. Part of the mayor's, push for an aggressive crackdown on homeless encampments is underway right now. It comes a week after Governor Gavin Newsom issued an executive order to remove tents on city streets across the entire state. And our cameras were there as crews with Public Works cleared out one encampment, this one located on Ellis Street this morning. It's all part of the city's so-called Healthy Streets operation, which received a green light after the Supreme Court ruling gave cities more power to crack down on encampments. And our Wilson Walker is here with an update.
We are here on Willow Street, which, as many people will know, has long been one of the epicenters of San Francisco's struggle with homelessness and the intersection of drugs and homelessness. Well, today it was the scene of what you could really call a show of force against tent encampments in the city. The city came in and does what it has generally always done. They lead with outreach workers who try to talk people into some type of shelter. From there, it is Public Works that comes in and starts to clean up. Now, there's really no specific difference in the way this is all happening. The police are on hand just like they were before. The real difference, if you ask the city, the real difference here is what they call clarity delivered by the Supreme Court ruling, clarity under the law that they can do this without threat of legal entanglement. So it's kind of a messaging effort that they are here to clean up. They're going to come back and do it again. They want people to go inside. Now, the result of that is what we have generally seen in the past as well. There are some people who will take them up on those offers, and there are a lot of people who will decline just by way of walking away from the cleanup effort. We've seen a lot of people kind of shuffle off in different directions, move their stuff right around the corner and set up shop and just to wait to see what happens after all these teams come through and do what they do. As we've shown you over the last day or so, this is going on in a number of places around the city as they step up this enforcement. Again, they say that they're not doing anything specifically different, but they are doing more of it. They're more serious about it. If you sort of get the idea of sending the message that they're going to be tougher with this. Now, are the police arresting anybody? No, they have not done that here today. Are they on hand to be, I don't know, sort of a force of influence with those who are maybe not inclined to move? Yes, they are on hand, and we saw a number of people who didn't really get moving until the police kind of made their presence known a little bit. Now, what comes next is obviously the big question. Do people come back? Does the city return and then shuffle those people off again? That all remains to be seen, but clearly the city really trying to hit the gas pedal. What it all adds up to is the question everyone's going to be asking in the days and weeks ahead as this enforcement continues. But today it was Willow Street, and as you can see, they have just about wrapped up here, and I can tell you that almost everyone that was on this alleyway over the course of 2 blocks has made their way out. They may not have gone far, but they have cleared this alley. We will see what happens in the future.
Tough situation out there, and we saw sweeps on a smaller scale yesterday in San Francisco. Caltrans, they cleared an encampment from the off-ramp near 19th and Bryant. People there told us that they were contacted by city outreach workers, and they're now on a wait list for housing. Now, a look at the top stories today. President Biden is calling on the federal government to curb the flow of fentanyl into the U.S. Today, he'll direct agencies to also work together with departments to stop traffickers from smuggling the drug. The White House says that Biden will also encourage Congress to pass a multi-pronged proposal that would reclassify fentanyl-related substances as a Schedule I drug instead of a Schedule II, meaning that they have no medical value. And he also wants to create a nationwide pill press and a tableting machine registry that would help officials track machines that are used to make fake pills that are laced with fentanyl. Facebook's parent company, Meta, they've agreed to pay $1.4 billion in a settlement with the state of Texas now. It's over claims that the tech giant collected facial recognition data without people's consent. This is also the largest privacy settlement by a U.S. state. Meta ended its facial recognition system, though, back in 2021, but did not admit to any wrongdoing. And Texas also sued Google back in 2022 for similar issues. Still ahead here at noon and streaming on CBS News Bay Area, the latest on the presidential campaign trail. Both VP Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, they're rallying Black voters today. And they've called it their redemption tour, and it's definitely accurate. Simone Biles and Team USA dominating the Paris Olympics. Welcome back. Vice President Kamala Harris is said to be close to naming a running mate. Both she and former President Donald Trump have rallies scheduled for the next few days in battleground states, including Pennsylvania. Natalie Brand has more details tonight from the White House.
Hip-hop star Megan Thee Stallion revved up the crowd for Vice President Kamala Harris at a rally in Georgia Tuesday night that drew 10,000.
A younger person finally at the table, bringing energy, bringing excitement, bringing joy back into politics makes a huge difference.
Next week, Harris plans to be back in the battleground state with her new running mate, a name expected to be announced by Monday. Their first rally together is scheduled in Pennsylvania.
The vice president has a very deeply personal decision to make right now. I trust she will make that decision on her own terms when she is ready.
Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro is on the short list, along with Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg.
This is a big crowd.
Pennsylvania is a top prize for both campaigns, and former President Donald Trump will be back there tonight for the first time since the assassination attempt earlier this month. But first, he addresses black journalists in Chicago as part of an appeal to black voters.
Black people are losing jobs. They were doing so much better under Trump. People are coming in and undercutting them and taking their jobs.
Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, campaigning in Nevada Tuesday, focused his attacks on immigration policy.
Kamala Harris's vision is open American borders and closed American factories.
Vance will rally in Arizona tonight before touring the southern border Thursday.
And Harris is also trying to mobilize black voters. She's scheduled to speak at the Sigma Gamma Rho convention in Houston today, a traditionally black sorority. Right now, we're going to take a look at weather. We're going to take a live look from our camera overlooking the Santa Clara Valley. And what are we expecting for the rest of your work week? Let's go ahead and check in with meteorologist Jessica Birch.
All throughout the Bay Area today, we're continuing to see these clouds kind of linger around. It's that monsoonal moisture that's moving its way in from the south, and we continue to keep a close eye on it as we head into the coming days because we wake up to that morning fog and then we're left with daytime highs a little bit above average right around the corner. Heading into this week, actually, these 90s we see off into the East Bay like Antioch and Livermore, they're going to continue to warm up even more with some hazy skies too. We have smoke sweeping in from the south. I'll have more on that in a second. Let's head down to the South Bay real fast. San Jose today topping off at 86 degrees, 88 just along the foothills closer to Los Gatos. We work our way up along 101. We hit Redwood City at 79 degrees. We continue to cool down with cloudier skies close to San Francisco at 67. You pass the Golden Gate Bridge, you work your way up into Marin and Napa and Sonoma. We have 80s in the forecast for us throughout this afternoon with beautiful weather all throughout the evening hours tonight. Now, the winds are a lot lighter compared to yesterday. Yeah, it was breezy yesterday with wind gusts anywhere up to around 35 miles per hour just into San Francisco. Now, today we're going to see about 20 mile per hour winds, so still a little bit breezy along the coast, a lot lighter for our inland areas, though. We'll continue to watch that closely heading into the next couple days. As we head into the rest of this week, high pressure starts moving its way in from our inland areas, and that's going to warm us up and dry us up. That causes a lot of issues for the boots on the ground up near the Park Fire happening right now just near Butte County. However, we are also getting some winds from the south, bringing in that monsoonal moisture along our coastline, which keeps us a little bit cooler for this time of year. Taking a look at the smoke now from the Pedro Fire just south of us, that's driving in some hazy skies for us throughout the next couple days. We are under an air quality alert right now throughout the Bay. That'll get extended into our tomorrow forecast too. So let's take a quick look at the next 7 days. Heading into the rest of this week's forecast, we'll continue to see some partly cloudy skies. We now know that that's that monsoonal moisture moving in from the south, and that's matched with some 90s and 80s kind of flirting back and forth heading into this weekend's forecast throughout our inland areas. As we head over to the Bay, it's a little bit cooler. We're sitting in the 70s for the most part throughout the rest of this week. Heading into early next week, mid 70s in the forecast as early as Tuesday with a late week warm up around the corner.
Thank you, Jessica. Well, still ahead here on the afternoon edition and streaming on CBS News Bay Area. They've called it their redemption tour, and now it's a success. Simone Biles and Team USA dominating the Paris Olympics. We have an update when we come back. Welcome back. At the Paris Olympics, Simone Biles and the U.S. women's gymnastics team, they're reestablishing their dominance here, and the team won gold, adding to an already impressive medal count for Team USA. Jamie Yukas is covering it all for us.
Simone Biles' show-stopping performances across every routine prove she's still the greatest of all time, as the 27-year-old led Team USA back to the top of the podium for the gymnastics team final Tuesday. With 8 medals, including 5 gold, Biles is now the most decorated American Olympic gymnast ever.
Who's your favorite?
Simone Biles. She's off the charts. Unbelievable.
But it wasn't just Biles that pushed Team USA more than 5 points ahead of the competition. Suni Lee's grace on the beam, Jade Carey's powerful vault, and Jordan Childs' signature showmanship on floor proved everyone brought their best for America's 4th gold medal in the sport.
What was the most memorable tonight?
I think it's just the redemption, because we should have had gold last Olympics, and just the moment when it's announced, although we knew we had it, but when they put Simone's score up there and it's like, boom, that's it, we're gold again.
That was insane. USA is just top notch.
What's one word to describe them?
Like, unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable for sure.
Also reaching new heights, the men's gymnastics team, who earned a bronze earlier this week, its first medal in 16 years.
We cannot wait to be, part of history, and in 20 years get to be the team that comes down to Olympic trials to cheer on the new generation.
They hope the win can create momentum for the sport going forward.
Men's gymnastics has been a slowly dying sport in our country ever since the 80s. Especially with COVID, we lost a couple of very important NCAA programs, and I really hope that this moment sort of changes that path for men's gymnastics, especially because I've been seeing people reach out to me and say, I think that competition made me a gymnastics fan.
Rugby also capturing America's attention after a stunning upset when the women's Simmons team snatched its first ever medal, winning the bronze during the final seconds of its game against Australia.
Another history-making moment. After delaying the men a day, both male and female triathlon athletes dove into the Seine River for competition today. After much debate over the cleanliness of the water there was no alternative location if a decision had been made to scrap that event. So we went to the course and spoke to those who have participated before. They told me there was no way anyone would keep these athletes out of the water, while regular spectators we talked to told me there's no way they would have gotten in that water, but they're grateful the athletes did.
A good idea to stay out of the water there. Still ahead here at noon, a major change in fast food. The move Taco Bell is making at more of their drive-thrus. How the chain says it's all to help out their workers.
The Bay Area Events Calendar, brought to you by Broadway San Jose.
Here's what's happening in the Bay Area this weekend. Children's Musical Theater San Jose rocks out to rent at the Montgomery Theater with a special Pride Night on Friday. And Hang 20 at the World Dog Surfing Championship. The competition is a little rough at Pacifica State Beach and helps support local animal charities. The highly anticipated sequel, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, will be screening with a live orchestra. Download the Broadway San Jose app now to access the pre-sale code. Tickets go on sale tomorrow at 10 a.m. at BroadwaySanJose.com. The Bay Area Events Calendar is brought to you by Broadway San Jose. For the taste of the Bay, with 100 local restaurants cooking up some delicious food. Veronica Macias joining us live right there at the Music Festival's entrance with more on a New Orleans-style sandwich shop getting ready for the weekend. This sandwich looks so good, Veronica.
It does. Before, I didn't know what muffalettas were, and the owner of Sandy's, located over in the Haight-Ashbury district, telling me that they are delicious. They get better with time, so they're going to be absolutely great to have here at Outside Lands this weekend. But look at the lineup here. It looks awesome. I kind of wish I were coming here today. I love the Killers. But inside, man, the food, we are talking about some delicious meals that are going to be served today, and one of them being Sandy's, again, located over on the Haight-Ashbury district. They've been serving up their muffalettas for 3 years here. They're going on their 3rd year, and this is the very first time that they're actually going to be serving food here while also keeping their shop open. But take a look inside their shop. The owner, Peterson Hartner, he's extremely busy, very excited to be here. He says it's really hard for him to believe that he actually started these sandwiches outside or from his apartment during the pandemic, and now he's selling them outside here at Outside Lands. He's a success story from the pandemic, started with pop-ups, and now he's gotten to this point. He says this was a break or make moment for him. Things out here are getting good for him financially, so now he's figured out a way to kind of improvise, deal with all the chaos, assembling the sandwiches first at the shop and then bringing them out here.
But we still get people that come into our shop
that have actually bought our sandwiches at Outside Lands. Like, oh, I had your sandwich at Outside Lands. Like, I absolutely loved it. So that's a big draw as well. So the big change for this year that we're gonna do is previous years we would bring everything there and build the sandwiches there. What we're gonna try to do this year is actually just build the sandwiches here because they travel well, they're very easy to bring from the shop to the festival.
All of this is unique comfort food, but again, there's a ton of lineup for food out here at Outside Lands, just like there is going to be a ton of traffic and a headache to get parking out here. But coming up at 7:30, we're going to tell you about one location not far from here where you can park your car, not worry about it being broken into or getting that parking ticket, all while helping out local schools. Sending it back to you.